Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, December 19th, last City Council meeting of the calendar year. Regular City Council meeting will begin with our invocation, followed by a salute to the flag delivered by Councilman Jansen. Please rise.
Let us pray. Good and gracious Heavenly Father, in this joyous season we celebrate the birth of your Son. Lord, we just thank you for all the blessings that you extend to us, and Lord, we love you and we thank you for everything you give us. Lord, we just ask that you look over our first responders and our military and those in the health profession field and those families that are struggling through this season of joy. Lord, we just put your hands over them and bless them, and it's in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This meeting is called to order. Madam Clerk, roll call. Councilmember Golding. Here. Councilmember Horn.
Here.
Councilmember Jansen.
Here.
Councilmember Meza.
Yes.
Here.
Oh, here, sorry.
Councilmember Nichols.
Here.
Councilmember Sutton.
Here.
Mayor Hoffman. Here, and just as a reminder, this is our last meeting of the year, but our second meeting of the day. So if we are a little worn out, please excuse us, give us some grace on that. Moving on to approval of minutes, item A.
I move that we approve the minutes from the regular City Council meeting held on December 5th, 2022.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B.
I move that we approve the minutes from the closed executive session held on December 12th, 2022.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. C.
I move that we approve the minutes from the council briefing held on December 12th, 2022.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Announcements from the council. Ms. Golding.
Just a quick announcement, whatever holiday you celebrate, I wish you all the very best holiday, and especially to my colleagues. I think we've had a very productive year, and I look forward to 2023.
Very nice. Thank you. Mr. Meza.
Quick announcement as well, since we're all in the holiday season, we have porch pirates, so make sure you get your neighbors, if you have any Amazon packages, to bring them into their house so they don't get stolen. Make sure you lock your car doors, your house, your garage doors aren't open, because criminals are working 24/7. You don't want to be a victim, so just keep in mind. Thank you.
Or you could shop at a small locally owned business and not even have to worry about it. Just another idea. I can't remember if this happened since our last meeting, but Deck the Chairs is going great. They had Tuba Christmas out there last weekend, and it was exactly as wonderful as you could think 200 tubas playing in unison would be. And they had a huge crowd. It was the middle of the day. It was really awesome. So if you haven't made it out to Deck the Chairs, please get on out there. It's been a lot of fun. It's definitely, I say this every year, it's their best year so far. I didn't mention last time I introduced Molly Allender, who's the new assistant to the city manager, but we had a little send-off for Chris Wright, who is the retiring assistant to the city manager, and she's been with the city for 20 plus years, starting in public works, and then she was the code enforcement officer, which I just love to imagine her as the code enforcement officer before she came upstairs to administration and did a wonderful job. But now I'm the last Chris in administration, and I'm excited about that, although she did a good job answering my calls as me for some time. Also, I'm going to be out of the country from January 3rd through 18th, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Nichols, for stepping up to serve in my place for one briefing and one meeting, regular meeting at least. But I have also asked that we push back the city manager evaluation to the briefing on February 13th. That does not change the deadlines for those of you who don't know, the city council has 2 employees the city manager and the city attorney. So we have an annual evaluation process with them. So it won't change anything in terms of timeline, it'll just change the date of the city council's discussion. Gave it a lot of thought, but considering we have 2 brand new council members who are new to the process and new to working directly with Mr. Staffopoulos, I wanted to be here to be an extra voice on the council. So that'll be the briefing on February 13th. Mr. Horn.
I just want to say thank you for continuing to support the Jacksonville Jaguars after our wonderful victory yesterday.
Ms. Golding.
I apologize. The mayor reminded me of something. There is a power poll that is done on a regular basis by a local publication where they solicit feedback from local leaders, and Deck the Chairs was chosen as, or was identified by local leaders as one of the best holiday traditions in Jacksonville. So in follow-up to what you said, definitely Deck the Chairs is amazing.
And thank you for reminding me of something I forgot. We have a few weeks without a meeting, we gotta get it all out. Oku, our newest restaurant downtown, was voted one of the top 20 new restaurants in Florida, so the entire state. And I think any of you who have been there know that that's well deserved, but it's a great new addition to our downtown area, and we're looking forward to a few more coming in a couple of months, which we'll hear a little bit more about today. Did anybody else have any other memories in the meantime? Okay, we'll move on to courtesy of the floor visitors. I have one card, but it is attached to an item. Do we have any other, Madam Clerk? No? Okay, so we'll move on to monthly financial reports. Ms. Gossett.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ashley Gossett, CFO. Before you tonight, you have the November financial statements, which represent 2 months of the fiscal year, or 16.7%. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about them.
Thank you. And a motion?
I move that we accept the monthly financial reports for the month of November 2022.
Second. You have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments by council? We're just flying through the year at 16.7%. Really well. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Horn,
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen,
Yes.
Councilmember Mesa,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes, motion carries. Item B.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tom Bagan, Services Division Commander with the Police Department. I am asking if you would award RFP number 092122, parking services to SP Plus, and authorize the mayor and city manager to execute the final contract.
Thank you, Commander Bingham. And a motion?
I move that we award RFP number 092122, parking services to SP Plus, and authorize the mayor and city manager to execute the final contract.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from council? Mr. Horn.
Maybe the city manager can answer this. I emailed you earlier, and obviously it started this dialogue. Why is it that 6th Avenue North is the only end zone that we charge parking?
Good question, and I'll give you an answer. At the end of each year that we've done the paid parking program, we've done a review and a report out with the city council, usually in the fall timeframe. Last year, when we did it at this time, the council direction was to expand the paid parking program into 3 new locations. There's a map up on the wall. The 3 locations were the end zone lot at 6th, which is south of the new Margaritaville Resort and north of the Casa Marina Hotel. The on-street parking for 6th in this location, between 1st and 2nd, and the parking lot that is behind the new town center project, just on the south side of 2nd here. So those were the 3 locations that we received direction to move forward with for expansion of paid parking. And that was council direction.
Thank you.
Mr. Mesa?
This question is for city manager as well, and possibly you, Commander. The kiosks, that's owned by the company we're contracted with, right?
Correct.
Now, I know in the Pew parking lot, or the Ritz parking lot, I should say. I think you need some TLC. I don't know if that's a company that would do that, or is it us?
TLC for the parking lot proper?
Well, where the kiosk is, it's just dirt and it's just very, it's not maintained.
That's something we'll take a look at.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Nichols?
I'd also like to ask, currently, when they're not in use, they're covered with black plastic garbage bags. It seems like they'd be a better covering.
Yeah, we've been in contact with SP Plus. Sam, who is our representative direct link, he's been in constant contact with their vendor to get some made. They're waiting that vendor to let them know, but we've been going for about 3 or 4 months with this.
Okay, just want to make sure it was in front of you.
Definitely.
Sorry, I didn't see who turned your light on first. We'll go to Mr. Horn. I don't care. Whoever.
Roughly how much revenue is generated each year through these paid parking contracts?
We'll ask CFO Gossett to answer that.
I can report that in fiscal year '22, we received $322,000 in paid parking revenues.
That is the city's portion?
That is the city's portion, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mason?
Commander, on the covers, have you asked them or given your input of what design it should be on the cover?
They're just going to be black, and we're trying to see right now if their vendor will be able to put the city logo on the outside.
Perfect, thank you.
So for 6th Avenue, just because of the hotels there in particular, Mr. Horn, we're seeing a lot of people park there for a much longer duration than on a lot of the other streets or on a lot of the other avenues. But I think ultimately, this is more of a pilot to potentially expand to other avenues. At least in my mind it is.
Yeah, it was just because it was the single one, I wasn't sure if there was something specific to that area.
Yeah, I think with the addition of Margaritaville and then with the construction that's going to be going on right there, it was a good place to start. Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Horn,
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen,
Yes.
Councilmember Meza,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes, motion carries. Item C is nomination to fill the remainder of the second alternate Board of Adjustment term expiring December 31st, 2025. So I'll just open the floor for nominations. Ms. Golding.
Matt Metz.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Okay, we'll close the floor to nominations. Since we only have one, you can go ahead. If you support Matt Metz's nomination, please just say Metz when your name is called. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Jansen,
Metz.
Councilmember Meza,
Metz.
Councilmember Nichols,
Metz.
Councilmember Sutton,
Metz.
Councilmember Golding,
Metz.
Councilmember Horn,
Metz.
Mayor Hoffman.
Metz. Thank you, Mr. Metz, for your willingness to serve and take over that Board of Adjustment term. Next, we will move on to the Planning Commission. We have some movement here as a result of Mr. Sutton joining us here on the City Council, and I do have a speaker card. She's going just by one name now, Georgette. Would you like to address the council?
Share. Georgette Dumont, 507 16th Avenue South, Jacks Beach, Florida, 32250. On this, I would like to have you all strongly think about reappointing David Dahl. I know that there is some reticence about having somebody serve that long, but if you look at the composition of the Planning Commission and with Mr. Sutton moving up to City Council, and at the same time as us going through the LDC, we need somebody on the Planning Commission who has a very deep understanding of the LDC. And I served on the Planning Commission for a while, for many years, and David was the only one who showed up with his own packet of the LDC, dog-eared and marked and all that. And so when he spoke on any application, he fully did his research on why things could or could not happen. So I am here to strongly support the continuation of having Mr. Dahl on the planning commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Dumont. Just so everybody knows, we do have an interview process where we interview potential new applicants as well as returning applicants. Unfortunately, we were not able to have an interview with Mr. Dahl, but as Ms. Dumont mentioned, he's been on the Planning Commission for quite some time. But for anybody who is eligible and does apply for one of our board positions, they do remain on a list of potential applicants or potential members for 2 years, at which point we contact them again, re-interview them, or what have you. And the council has been presented with that spreadsheet of all of the eligible members. So this is a 4-part section, so we will just go ahead and start with number 1, Mr. Nichols.
I move that we approve the appointment of Emily Stouffer to fill the remainder of the vacant regular member term of Greg Sutton on the Planning Commission expiring December 31st, 2023.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Meza,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Horn,
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes. Item 2.
I move that we approve the appointment of Nicholas Andrews to fill the remainder of the first alternate term of Emily Stouffer expiring December 31st, 2024.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from council? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Horn,
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen,
Yes.
Councilmember Meza,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes. Item 3.
Move that we approve the reappointment of David Dahl to a new term on the Planning Commission with a term expiring December 31st, 2026.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Sutton.
Yeah, I'd just like to second what we heard from Ms. Dumont, and that Mr. Dahl has been an invaluable resource on the Planning Commission, has done it for many years, but given the makeup and composition of the Planning Commission right now, which is a little bit on the green side, I think we need a experienced sort of individual on there that has a very thorough and years of experience that Mr. Dahl brings. So I would recommend reappointment of Mr. Dahl.
Thank you, Mr. Sutton. Any other comments? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Horn,
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen,
Yes.
Councilmember Meza,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes. Okay, item 4, with all that shuffling, we now have an open second alternate for the Planning Commission, so I'll open the floor to nominations. Ms. Golding?
Debbie Cole?
Mr. Jansen?
Justin Henderson.
Any other nominations? The nominations are closed, so when your name is called, you can either say the name of Cole or Henderson. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Golding,
Cole?
Councilmember Horn,
Henderson.
Councilmember Jansen,
Henderson.
Councilmember Meza,
Henderson.
Councilmember Nichols,
Henderson.
Councilmember Sutton,
Henderson.
Mayor Hoffman.
Cole. Mr. Henderson won the majority of votes, so he will be appointed to the Board of Adjustment. Okay, moving on. Mr. Putnam? I know, we're moving right through.
So I'm requesting approval, Alan Putnam, Director of Beaches Energy. I'm asking the President approve bid number 2021-016. This is for flame retardant clothing and fire retardant clothing that our employees are required to wear in our substation, relay, construction, and maintenance and meter departments. Sadly, we received one bid from 10 vendors. Supply chain issues are still out there and they're still affecting our business. So we're glad that we received the one bid. It's here for 13 items, and it was a requested motion or requested action.
Thank you, Mr. Putnam. And motion.
I move that we award bid number 2021-016 to Wayne Enterprises, Inc. for the purchase of flame retardant clothing for Beaches Energy Services.
Second?
Motion and a second. Isn't Wayne Enterprises Bruce Wayne's company? Is that the affiliation? You should know about flame retardant clothing. Any questions or comments from council? Mr. Horn?
Are these individual, are these per individual, these are items that are issued as part of their work, or they're, are they items that are at the work site? I think there was jackets, there's shirts, there's pants.
So it's per employee per size, so each employee gets so many, whatever size that they tell us. Believe me, it's a process, so it takes a while to gather all that and get the bid out.
And then, so what is the life expectancy of these uniforms?
2 to 3 years. We buy new stuff every year. It all depends on stuff gets, damaged during work. They bring it in, they show it to us, we replace it, so that's kind of how it works.
Okay.
Any other questions from council? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Horn,
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen,
Yes.
Councilmember Meza,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes. Item F. Mr. Hughes?
Good evening, Trevor Hughes, Parks and Recreation. A few months back, golf staff came to a council briefing and sought out to partner with a nonprofit to come and offer programming and to build a facility on the golf course. We felt consensus was met, so we feel like we've reached an excellent agreement with a nationally recognized company that one brings a tremendous value to not only our community, but also brings tremendous value to our golf course. This is the proposed location. It's in an area that we currently mow, and it is out of play. It'll be something that will actually remove a small amount of area that we maintain, and the company coming in will incur all expenses. So they'll do their exploratories. If they come in and there happens to be landfill under the site, well, then it's up to them to remediate. This is something that 100% will not cost us any money moving forward. And again, it's something that we agree that we feel brings a tremendous value, not only to the course itself through the national partnerships that they have are extended to the golf property. We've recently purchased Toro equipment and we've received a huge discount. We're asking for your approval of the lease.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes, and a motion.
I move that we approve a lease and use agreement with Rising Leaders of North Florida, Inc. for construction and operation of the Learning Center at the Jacksonville Beach Golf Club, and authorize the mayor and city manager to sign the lease and use agreement.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Jansen?
I believe that's the 10th hole, that's just to the south of that. I don't know what the construction of this is going to be as far as materials are concerned, but I'm pretty sure from the tee box I can hit that building consistently.
Second.
Mr. Meza?
I think this is a wonderful opportunity for the kids. Anytime kids have an opportunity to excel and expand their thinking skills and excel in these topics right here, I think is excellent, and it gives me joy. So obviously I'm going to approve this, but I appreciate this.
Ms. Golden?
Thank you, Trevor. In our briefing, when this issue was discussed, there was some questions asked about, did we have any numbers on the kids from Jack's Beach that participate with this organization? Do you have that information?
I did. Well, yes. I did, but it's not in my packet that I brought up here. The numbers that we came up with, I remember, was being about 63% of the children were actually from the Jack's Beach, the local area.
Okay.
They do not turn down anyone that comes, but the numbers that I had, it was 63%.
Thank you. Mr. Horn?
My skills or lack thereof with the golf club are legendary, and I can and have honestly hit balls in that area. And I'm being in all honesty here, what are we constructing in that area? What are the safeguards?
From my understanding is the building is a concrete block building. If you go to this area, you can see the cart barn is is a metal building that is littered with golf ball dimples. Exactly. And it is going to be built out of block. They've known this. They're going to have shatterproof windows. And also, the entrance is going to be far back by the existing, where it comes out, that's currently 2 restrooms. And there will be a wall there, and the entrance will be between the building and between the 2 buildings on the inside. Everything will be for safety. Yes, the building will take some golf balls, but none of the kids will be using that side of the building.
Thank you.
Mr. Nichols?
Is there a chance we can relocate a portion of the cart path, well, in this picture to the top, and that's really, I believe, the south, and put some trees or put some other, something else in there to help protect the building?
Yeah, absolutely. If
Some
need be,
bushes.
once the actual building comes in there and it's laid out, I don't believe the building will protrude into the cart path as that box shows. It'll be a little more this side. We'll have some space, and if need be, we'll plant some trees in there, whatever type of buffer.
All right, well, great job, thank you.
Any other questions from council? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Jansen,
Yes.
Councilmember Mesa,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Horn,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes, moving on to our resolutions. Ms. Ireland.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Heather Ireland, Planning and Development Director. So this resolution for you is in regards to a policy that would apply to the downtown CRA district. I don't know if we have a map or not, but as you know, the city through the CRA is making a substantial financial investment in the downtown district in regards to infrastructure. So it includes improvements to water, sewer, stormwater, roadways, alley paving, street ends, public parking, sidewalks, and now urban trails and landscape areas as well. So Public Works is getting really close to having 90% completion plans for the next phase of the project, but there are still more to go. And one of the things that came up is ways to safeguard and the public investment that the city is making in these areas. So the idea was to, in some regards, restrict private property owners' ability to request right-of-way permits for things like additional parking for their private residents, for example. Some exceptions would be improvements to the landscaping that the city is already installing, or when a property is redeveloped or changes use. We want to make sure that they can access their property, but we are making a substantial investment. So this was an effort between CRA staff and Public Works to kind of come up with this policy that we're requesting that you consider. We did discuss it with the CRA back in their October meeting, and they adopted a resolution of support for this policy going forward to restrict requests for right-of-way permits in the downtown area. Right now we have it for 10 years. The CRA did express that they would be supportive for a longer time frame, but we kept it at 10 years for the purpose of this meeting. So happy to answer any questions. And again, Director Barron is not here, so I'll do my best with Public Works questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ireland. Madam Clerk, will you read the resolution by title, please?
A resolution of the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, adopting a policy restricting the issuance of right-of-way permits to private property owners in the Downtown Community Redevelopment Agency District for a period of 10 years, providing for adoption of recitals, repeal of prior inconsistent resolutions and council decisions, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you. And a motion?
I move that we adopt Resolution 2128, 2022, adopting a policy to restrict private property owner right-of-way permits in the Downtown Community Redevelopment Agency District for a period of 10 years.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Mesa,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Horn,
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes, motion carries. Item B, Mr. Putnam? At least you have two, if you're going to be here.
Alan Putnam, Director of Police Energy. A few years ago, I came to you with a couple of solar projects we were doing in Central Florida through the Florida Municipal Power Agency. One of them came to fruition under the price that we had set. The second one ran into some problems. Florida Renewable Partners, which is a subsidiary of FPL, ran into some issues, wanted to increase rates. Since then, materials for solar projects have risen drastically, and they can no longer meet our price requirement. At that point, we decided to go back out for RFP through FMPA with a bid for 15 megawatts of additional solar power. So I'm back here today asking you to approve a resolution that will approve the purchase of that, allowing the mayor and city manager to execute the agreement if it comes in under the agreed upon price.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you read the resolution by title, please?
A resolution of the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, providing conditional authorization to commit financially to a specified portion of the solar energy acquired by the Florida Municipal Power Agency in the event Florida Municipal Power Agency acquires such solar energy, providing conditional authorization to commit to being bound by Section 10 of Rate Schedule B1 of the All Requirements Power Supply Contract, designating authorized officers, approving and taking certain other actions, providing for adoption of recitals, repeal of prior inconsistent resolutions and council decisions, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you. And a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution number 2129, 2022, authorizing the purchase of 5 additional megawatts for a total of 15 megawatts of solar energy through a power purchase agreement entered into with the Florida Municipal Power Agency and the third-party solar developer.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Horn.
Is there a duration to this agreement?
20 years initially. We can extend it further if we decide to.
So we are entering into a 20-year agreement.
20-year agreement.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton?
Yes.
Councilmember Golding?
Yes.
Councilmember Horn?
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen?
Yes.
Councilmember Meza?
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman?
Yes. All right, moving on to ordinances. Ms. Ireland, did you have a staff update on this one?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just to remind everyone, this ordinance is to adopt a rezoning for property known as Dolphin Depot property, which is the block just to the west of the existing Margaritaville Hotel. This is the second reading, and the only change from our previous meeting was a condition added to the ordinance. On page 2, under section 3A, you'll see that we've added the condition that the applicant will identify opportunities to visually enhance the First Street side of the building with art, decorative lighting, or a green wall. So that is the only change from the first reading. Happy to answer any questions, and the applicant's agent is here as well to answer questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ireland. Madam Clerk, will you read the ordinance by title?
An ordinance of the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, amending redevelopment district, RD district, ordinance number 2017-8089, supplementing the comprehensive zoning regulations and plan for the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, as provided under Chapter 34 of the Code of Ordinances of said city, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
This ordinance for the redevelopment district RD rezoning of a property is before the council for a public hearing and consideration on its second reading. Under the laws of the state of Florida, an application to amend the zoning regulations or map governing a property is handled as a quasi-judicial proceeding. A quasi-judicial proceeding means that a governing body is now functioning in a manner similar to a court, with the mayor and council sitting as impartial decision makers, hearing testimony and questioning presenters who are to provide substantial and competent evidence to support their side of the issue. It is the duty of the council to arrive at sound decisions regarding the use of property within the city. This includes receiving citizen input regarding the proposed use on the neighborhood, especially where the input is fact-based and not a simple expression of opinion. It is the applicant's burden to demonstrate that his or her application is consistent with the Land Development Code and the comprehensive plan. If the applicant is successful in showing consistency, then it is up to the local government to produce competent, substantial evidence of record that the application should be denied. The council's decision on an RD rezoning application is based on the criteria set forth in section 34-347C3I of the Land Development Code. Each member of the council has been provided a copy of the criteria. In addition, the council has received a copy of the application and the Staff Planning Commission and Community Redevelopment Agency recommendations on this rezoning request. I will now open the public hearing on ordinance number 2022-8183. Would the applicant's spokesperson like to address the council?
Thank you, Mayor. Steve DiBenel, Woodland Drive, Suite 1200. I'm just here to answer questions you may have. We still are in agreement with the staff on the condition that she read that you all approved at the last meeting, and happy to answer any questions folks may have, or there may be comments from the audience that need to be addressed as well.
Thank you. Would anyone like to speak in favor of the application? I do not have any speaker cards on this. Go ahead. Just come give us your name and address and come address the council.
My name is Robert Dahm, and I live at 111 7th Avenue North. So if you look up here, I live directly across from the ingress-egress, just a little bit towards the ocean. So my one question is, I know that in the last meeting, there was some talk about some greenery on 1st Street North. I'd ask that at the very least that be provided on 7th Avenue North, because that will also be, 5-6 stories straight up parking garage. I'd like it to be a little bit visually, appropriate. I also noticed that there is no setback on 7th Avenue North, and that's the only street that's somewhat residential. So I was curious why there was no setback on 7th Avenue North when there's a setback on 1st Street North, 6th Avenue North, etc. And the one last thing I was going to ask is, the way the ingress-egress is, and because it's halfway on my property, the way my property is structured, that is my living room. So I have a door in the center, 2 windows on the left, 2 windows on the right, and then also on the west side, I have a balcony. I would like it to at least be considered, and I know I've talked with Steve, and maybe you can go back, that the ingress-egress be moved slightly to the west, because that would alleviate the lights from the incoming and outgoing traffic going into my living room. It doesn't bother me that they're going to hit the deck, the porch, etc., but during the evening hours, having the windows or the lights coming in, time after time would be disturbing.
Thank you.
I am supportive of the project.
Okay, thank you. Just hold tight, Mr. DiBenel. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of the project? Would anyone like to speak in opposition of the application? Would anyone else like to comment at all on the application? Okay, now, Mr. DiBenel and Ms. Ireland, if you'd like to address the comments.
So there were 2 issues. First, regarding the facade on 7th Avenue North for the garage. What I would recommend there is that we just continue the condition that's already approved for 1st Street North and just have it include the facade on 7th Avenue North. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to increase the setback there. If we're able to, and we'll look at it, if we're able to, I don't think that would be necessarily a violation of the RD zoning, because it would be a bigger setback than is required under the RD zoning. But I need to make sure that we don't run afoul of the court order, and I just can't make that decision today. So instead, what I would recommend or ask would be that you just extend the condition that you've already approved for 1st Avenue or for 1st Street, and just make it apply to 7th Avenue North. On the other one, on the driveway, of course, we could theoretically move the driveway a little bit to the west, and I guess I'll put Heather a little bit on the spot here, that if we do slide the driveway to the left or to the west, we would probably end up losing 3 or 4 parking spots there to accommodate, the entryway. And so we don't want to have to, again, I can't agree to this today, but what I've committed is that we would examine a reconfiguration of the parking lot to try to address our neighbor's concern. But if we ended up finding a solution that sacrificed parking spaces, my question would be, would we have to go through a whole new rezoning, or would we be able to accomplish that during the site plan review process with Public Works? That would be my question.
Okay, Ms. Ireland?
So maybe, there is some administrative wiggle room in the code where I can approve a certain variance from this approved site plan. So remember, you are approving the rezoning, the narrative, and the site plan. So I think driveways and parking and sidewalks and things of that nature can move by 5 feet or less. So there is a little wiggle room, but not in regards to the parking. So they would still need to provide the required number of spaces. And I forgot what the other question was, I apologize. Oh, the setback, thank you. So in the settlement, this property, even though before it was zoned RD, was zoned C1, the settlement did say that they would use the CBD dimensional standards, which requires a minimum of a 0-foot setback and a maximum of 10. So they would be limited to between 0 and 10 feet, which right now they're showing the 0 feet.
So that, again, that's super helpful, and I appreciate the latitude to have this dialogue. So what maybe I would ask then, as a part of the rezoning, that if we're allowed to move that driveway up to 5 feet and it causes us to lose, 5 parking spaces, that maybe the city council include a condition that says the driveway on 7th Avenue North may move no more than 5 feet to the west, and if it impacts parking, no more than 5 parking spaces can be removed to accommodate that relocation. Again, because we don't have this surveyed in the real world, it's really conceptual. The headlights of these cars may already be far enough to the west, or it may be impossible to move them so far west. So I don't want to cause a problem. I've committed that we'll look at it. I've committed we'll try to work on it with the neighbor, but I can't change the site plan at this late date. However, with a condition like this, maybe you could give us some latitude to be able to try and solve it without coming back for a full rezoning over, let's say, up to 5 parking spaces and a 5-foot deviation to the west. That would be a way to address the concern. Again, I'm not guaranteeing that we would be able to do it, but at least that would give us the ability to continue the conversation during permitting without facing a whole rezoning. That would be my thought on that issue.
Okay, thank you. We will go ahead and close the public hearing. Before requesting a motion on this ordinance, beginning with myself, each of the members is requested to indicate for the record both the names of persons and the substance of any ex parte communications regarding this application. An ex parte communication refers to any meeting or discussion with a person or citizen who may have an interest in this decision, which occurred outside of the public hearing process. I have had none. Mr. Sutton?
None other than my involvement with this project as part of the planning commission.
Mr. Horn?
None.
None.
Nichols?
None.
Jensen?
None.
Golding?
I received an email from Mr. Ken Marsh regarding concerns about the addition of short-term rentals as a permitted use in the list of permitted uses. And I spoke with Mr. Deebenow about it today, just to get some clarification from him on that as well.
Thank you. And may we have a motion, please?
I move that we adopt ordinance number 2022-8183 on the second reading for a redevelopment district RD zoning district amendment for the Dolphin Depot RD district.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Comments by council. Ms. Golding?
So Mr. Deebenow, in follow-up to the conversation that I had with you earlier today and with Mr. Marsh, could you, I understand Mr. Marsh's concern and of course the community's concern with vacation rentals and the impact that they have on neighboring properties. And in particular, Mr. Marsh was concerned about what kind of management would be involved in these vacation rentals for this property, and also to make sure that our police department, who is rather, stays rather busy in our downtown area, that this is not going to provide any increased burden on our police department. So could you explain?
Sure. So the question regarding short-term rentals, first, the reason that this came up is because in our conversations with the planning director, we weren't sure exactly how those units would be categorized, whether they'd be categorized as hotels or condos. So remember, from a very high level, this building will have roughly 50 hotel rooms and roughly 50 condominium units. And then the apartments that are located here on the northwest corner of the property will also be added in as part of the hotel. And they'll all be managed by the same, most likely by the same entity. And there will be, what we're talking about really are the rental of the condominium units. And Certainly, there will be people that live there year-round, there will be people that live there just for part of the year, and others probably will use those as vacation locations, but then would want them to be rented out. So there will be at least 2 condominium association documents and HOA documents. One will be, there will be an HOA, an association among the condominium owners. So they'll have rules and regulations about what they can do and not do, and also how they deal with repairs and maintenance and the management of the condominiums. Then there will be another property owners association, which will be between the hotel and the condominium owners, so that they will work collectively on how the entire property is managed. There will be a hotel manager, and the way that these projects work in other cities, most of the time, the hotel manager is the same one that manages the property for the condominium owners. And it's a service that's provided across the mall, so that there's a uniform management company. So if there are units in the condominium group that are subject to the management agreement for short-term rentals, the people that manage the hotel, that same group will be managing the units that are being leased as short-term rentals for the condominiums. I guess my point is that if the hotel manager has a really important vested interest to make sure that there's not crazy stuff going on in the condominium units, because otherwise they couldn't rent their hotel units. Similarly, the other condominium units that are not rented or not available to being rented, they're going to be permanent residents. They are not going to want to have anything crazy going on either. So you have at least 2 big checks in the real world: the HOA documents between the condo owners, the property owners association document between the hotel operator and owner and the condo owners, and then finally the management agreement, with all of those being aligned so that the people that have condos can live there peacefully, and the people that are renting hotel rooms don't have, crazy parties next door with people that are coming in with the horror stories maybe you've read about in the paper. So that's a long explanation, but that was the gist of the conversation I had with Mr. Marsh last week, and then again today with Councilwoman Goldie.
Thank you, Mr. Divino. And to address Mr. Dom's concern about the 7th Avenue side of the building, I'd be willing to offer a motion to amend our condition to say the applicant will identify opportunities to visually enhance the First Street side and the 7th Avenue north side of the building with art, decorative lighting, or a green wall.
Second.
We have a motion to amend and a second. Any discussion on the amendment? Mr. Sutton and Mr. Nichols, do you have comments on the amendment?
Not on the amendment.
Okay. Seeing no comments on the amendment, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Sutton?
Yes.
Councilmember Golding?
Yes.
Councilmember Horn?
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen?
Yes.
Councilmember Meza?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes, the motion is amended back to the original set of lights. Mr. Jansen.
I just want to make a quick comment. I do appreciate you as the agent let the developer know that I appreciate him working with our community and our citizens and addressing all their concerns as this project moves forward.
I will, thank you.
Mr. Nichols.
Obviously, we all received the email from Mr. Marsh, even though it's not something that we need to disclose, he's not a member of the party. However, I did speak with him afterwards and talked to him a little bit more about the similar ones that I've been to, where you have a high-end hotel that's attached. The rate of these on a nightly basis is more family-oriented and stuff, and so I don't have any concern. And once I talk through the process, he had no concern after our conversation.
Okay, great.
And then also about the headlights, I think moving the driveway might be a lot. There's a lot of right-of-way on the other side, I believe. And I think that the planting of, and obviously I like trees, so planting of trees and bushes to potentially something nice on the other side might help with the glare from the headlights as well, instead of potentially moving everything and reducing parking and stuff.
Mr. Sutton.
Heather, this might be a question for you. Based on the based on what we're looking at here, what's the maximum approximately the driveway could be moved anyway to the west? I guess it might be about the length of a parking space?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. There's a lot that goes into play. We've got to maintain site triangles as well. And so without really sitting down and with a ruler, honestly, and looking at it, it's hard to tell. And then we have to figure out how many spots might be lost.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult to say exactly how much.
Yeah, thanks. I'm not sure that moving the driveway, to Mr. Nichols' point, really solves very much itself, because we could still have that issue. Almost some type of screening opposite side of 7th Avenue would probably be more of a solution. And Steve, thanks again to Mr. Allen and this whole project in general. I think it'll be great.
Mr. Mesa?
Yes, Steve, I was gonna ask you this question last time and completely forgot. On both entrances, what type of, is it going to be like an arm gate? Is it going to be a garage door? Is it going to be one of those fences?
On the garage itself,
Yeah.
it'll be secured. I don't know when it'll be, it won't be a manned gate. It'll be probably an arm with coded, coded cards for entry. But there won't be gates at the right-of-way line or the sidewalks. It'll be to the garage itself. So you'll be able to get into the parking lots on both sides. The current plan is that you get into both parking lots without any security, to be able to park, get out, go in, check in, or whatever you might be doing, use that space for loading. And then the secured part would be in the garages themselves. But it'll be, I don't know the make or the model of the security guard gates that'll be used.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Golding?
Yes?
Councilmember Horn?
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen?
Yes.
Councilmember Meza?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton?
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman?
Yes, excuse me one moment while I consult with the city attorney. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our final item. Can't go fast enough. Ms. Ireland, would you like to give us a staff update? Yeah, take it early, Mr. Nicholson.
I sure would. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So a few meetings ago, staff asked council for authorization to move forward with drafting an ordinance for a pilot program for sidewalk dining in the downtown area, specifically on one street. So again, this is our first stab at this. This has been a group effort between myself, the CRA staff, the city manager's office, legal, and public works. So we spent quite a bit of time drafting this, but we do realize it's the first time Jack's Beach has ever done anything like this. We put together something that we feel really comfortable with, and I'll just highlight some details for you real quickly. You guys have been here for a long time today, but just kind of want to hit some highlights. So what we're talking about is what the downtown CRA plan calls the Civic Corridor, which includes City Hall, Latham Plaza, and First Avenue North. The area that we've identified as what we consider a good kickoff spot for this sidewalk dining pilot program is directly catty corner to City Hall. So the red box you see there. So this ordinance would establish a program for restaurants only, not bars, to apply for a sidewalk dining permit. Again, just on First Avenue North, if this program is successful, we can certainly look forward to expanding it to other corridors in the downtown area, but we want to start small, see how things work out, see where we might need to tweak the ordinance, things that are working, things that are maybe not working. So in general, the process would be that an applicant that is an established restaurant, licensed food establishment, would have an opportunity to apply to the city. to have approval for outdoor dining on the sidewalk. They would then apply for a public works permit to actually use that public space for the outdoor dining. And we have established several rules pertaining to this proposed program that include things like what type of furnishings might be prohibited. We would want to see a site plan of everything that's going to go out on the sidewalk, hours of operation, liability, insurance, cleaning the area, making sure that it's kept neat and tidy. We are proposing that the area be fenced off from the street side on 3 sides, but it would be open to the actual establishment, but with room for a sidewalk in between. And there's some other things that we put in the ordinance area. We're proposing that tables and chairs are not to be moved, very consistent with other standards in the city. So I know this is a lot to take in, and again, it is new. We're proposing to put it in section 28 of the city code of ordinances, which is handles streets, sidewalks, and other public places, so we add a new section. I would like to point out that I did find some typos in the ordinance. I'll point those out to you, so if you do make a motion to approve, I would ask that you make sure to point these out so we can fix them. In a couple of locations, I incorrectly used the word investment. I meant to use incentive. It's on pages 1 and 2 of the ordinance, and I would like to just confirm on page 2, section C or subsection C, that it's on First Avenue North between First and Second Streets. I neglected to clarify exactly what we're talking about here. So again, happy to answer any and all questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ireland. Madam Clerk, will you read the ordinance by title?
An ordinance of the City of Jacksonville Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 28, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Public Places by adding Section 28-12, establishing a sidewalk dining program in the downtown investment zone within the downtown redevelopment district, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you. This ordinance is before the council for a public hearing and consideration on its first reading. I will now open the public hearing on ordinance number 2020-8188. We will begin with public comment cards, of which I have one. Mr. Mark Angelo, if you'd like to come up, give us your name and address and address the council.
My name is Mark Angelo at 1283 Ponte Vedra Boulevard and Ponte Vedra Beach. And we're just really excited to implement the vision for this outdoor dining. And just do whatever it takes to make it successful. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer some.
Thank you, Mr. Angelo. Would anyone else like to speak in favor? And would anyone like to speak in opposition to the ordinance? Public hearing is closed, and I have a motion.
I move that we approve ordinance number 2022-8188 on the first reading to establish an outdoor dining pilot program in the downtown incentive zone and schedule a second reading for January 16th, 2022.
Second?
We have a motion and a second, and I want to start with saying, when Ms. Ireland said this is the first time Jacksonville Beach has done anything like this, and it's followed by something good and exciting, that really makes me happy. This was more outdoor dining in our downtown area in particular has been a very, very consistent theme as we've talked to our citizens, businesses, visitors. I'm really excited that we're taking, or that I'm hoping that we're about to take this next step. So I think this is great, and to have a partner with Mr. Angelo is a great place to start. Mr. Nichols?
Yes, first I'd like to thank Mr. Angelo for wanting to participate in this, and this has been something that I wanted to do for years, and I think hopefully this works out great and we can do it throughout the downtown business district to really help small locally owned businesses and restaurants thrive in our downtown community and give our citizens a vested interest in our downtown. The second question is for our attorney. Is the areas that Heather pointed out, can those just be corrected with a Scrivener's error, or do we need to modify those?
I think the words that she used to corrected a Scrivener error.
Okay.
Thanks.
I would think so too. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Mr. Sutton?
Another question with regard to the railings. Was there any discussion, or is there any, maybe I'm missing anything in here regarding, say, protective bollards or anything of that matter? from parking spaces or traffic or that sort of thing to protect folks that may be dining?
Right, thank you for that question. It is something we discussed because we did want to ensure that if there's tables and chairs right up against the curb, that there's some barrier. We didn't want anything to be permanent since it is in the public right of way, so we're looking at some sort of temporary structure. And again, we'll work with each individual establishment that does take advantage of this and get a permit to figure out exactly what that barrier would be. So it could be like a movable planter with railings in between. But to maintain consistency with the rest of the code in regards to outdoor dining, we are proposing that 42 inches, which is how it is for any other outdoor restaurant area. This would just be on public property.
Mr. Mesa?
Yes, question, Heather. I do have to echo our mayor and the vice mayor. I'm excited for this pilot program. If this works, you said other places will be able to. Now, there are some four COP places that serve food and act as restaurants. Will they be able to apply for that as well?
Not right now. So we are limiting this to
SRX?
It could either be a smaller restaurant that has just a 2 COP or a 4 COP special restaurant. So no drinking establishments, even if they do serve food, restaurants only.
All right, good. And my second question was on paragraph C, number 2, on the alcoholic beverage license. And I don't know if we could add something to it. I don't know if Ms. or City Attorney can answer this, but a way to have, just to prevent, or I don't know how to word it, people will try to leave the establishment with alcohol. Can we add something to this, or is it just let the business handle that on its own?
That's a great question. We discussed that as well. I don't think there's anything we could add. We did put in here that signage would be required to basically state that no alcohol beyond this point so that nobody would leave the dining area. And so it would just come down to enforcement. But basically once someone leaves that area, if they do have a drink, they would be in violation of Section 4, which is our alcohol code. So hopefully that won't happen, but we did try to prepare for that by putting something in there about signage. And being seated while consuming alcohol as well.
Mr. Horn?
Yeah, so, and basically what you're saying is enforcement is the duty of the operator.
It would be the operator and then also PD if they had to get involved. And we've spoken to the police department about this pilot program as well.
Okay.
Ms. Golding?
And Heather, I just wanted to clarify that the only furniture that will be permitted in these areas are tables and chairs, not like a bar space where people could walk up to the bar space and purchase alcohol.
No, we were not contemplating that at all. Tables, chairs, planters, heaters, maybe lighting if the establishment felt like there was not ample lighting in that location. Turtle-friendly lighting, of course.
Thank you.
No outside bars, no.
Any other questions from council? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Horn,
Yes.
Councilmember Jansen,
Yes.
Councilmember Mesa,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutton,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman.
Yes, motion carries. What a great ending to a very busy and productive year. Thank you to my colleagues on council. Have a safe and happy holiday season, and we will see you in 2023. This meeting is adjourned.